This episode of the Smoke Pit brought to you by Combat Combover.
CombatCombover.com. Fine hair products for your beard and your face.
And for women.
Discount code.
Cream pie.
Save yourself some money. Welcome to the Smoke Pit.
What up, though?
And there was a deafening silence because Mike fucking Sensi is out with coronavirus. So who do we have in the studio today?
Me. Lindsay's back.
She's back, bitches. Wah, wah, wah.
Me, 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 me.
And as always for this season, joined by other co-hosts, AJ Pfeffer.
Rah.
And he is here. He is in the fucking house. So right into it. I saw a tweet by one of our brethren pages to Celebrate Your Life. They said something to the effect of like if a W amputee walks in and civilians see him and they don't want to make eye contact and they're kind of like bashful and they feel awkward. Like a vet sees him and he's like, "Hey brother, man, like did they make you the height you were before, or could you be like 8 feet tall?"
Yeah, like if some girl on Bumble was like, "Yeah, I only date guys that are 6'3" or above," be like, "That's fine. I'll just go get myself adjusted."
I'm as tall as you want me to be, baby. And so now the question that is on all of our minds, all right, could they preload them with Heelys so that he could just come gliding into situations?
If the answer is not yes, then my immediate response would be like, "I thought."
Correct yourself.
Sure, that would be your immediate response. I would say, "I thought this was America."
Lindsay?
I have no comment for this, but you know.
Oh, come on. Don't start the episode that way. You have thoughts.
Wait, I got one.
You have thoughts.
So, Lindsay, right? You're seeing this Adonis, right? And he's gonna slide into the room, right? But he's got no legs. And you're like, "I don't care about that because I care about you as a person, not the status of your legs."
Okay,
Lindsay?
pause.
Okay, I'm not...
First off, correct yourself. This is Lindsay. Second of all, she is highly judgmental. We've been over this.
I'm highly judgmental, super shallow. Like, you have to be a certain kind of person, look a certain kind of way.
Yeah, he could be 2% body fat and have an 8-pack from, the knees up.
Okay, but what's happening in between those knees?
That's what we're talking about. Is that adjustable too?
Well, I mean, that depends on whether or not he has a prosthetic for that. I've heard they've been very successful in some of those surgeries.
I have too.
Lindsay, would you want him to have like a rabbit or like a clit vibrator in his big toe?
Absolutely. 100% all about clit vibrators, butt plugs. It's a new thing for me. I've lost my butt plug virginity.
Yay, congrats.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was actually the first thing she said when she got to the studio. She kicked open the door and she was like, "Guys, this dude I'm seeing had a butt plug that he worked with his phone." And we're like, "Hi, Lindsay."
Hey, haven't seen you in a while. How's it going?
Yeah.
How's your life?
I can't help but talk about it, It was a great experience for my butthole.
Yes, please tell us about that. Go ahead.
Okay. So I'm seeing this guy, and we're having sex. And
really now?
Okay, but
so like you're already having sex, or do you just mean you're having sex with him in general?
I was in general, but in this incident, he blindfolded me, right? And we didn't talk about this like before it actually happened. And next thing I know, I'm getting pulled back, like I'm doing like a downward dog kind of thing, like I'm at one of those Bikram yoga studios.
Yeah.
I need to pause you there because I've seen this in those yoga studios before. Are you doing like the demon arch? Where like
Yes. Mama didn't raise no bitch. My back is all the way down.
Just checking.
Curved, nice C angle. Like I got this. You know what I mean? And next thing I know.
But if her VA rep is listening, her back is totally fucked up.
It is. 20% for my lower lumbar disc displacement.
Solid.
That's how she does the demon arch because her back is that fucked up.
Yes, that totally happened from my work vest and not from being a slut.
Yeah, so in this hypothetical situation where you have mobility.
Exactly. In summary, next thing I knew, there was something going in there. And I was like, well, this isn't a penis. So what could it be? And next thing I know, I kind of like peek under the blindfold and I look behind me. This man is controlling it from his phone.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm just like, should I say something? Should I just go with it? I had a little bit of some of that $5 red wine from Target. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go for it.
The bottle or the bag?
Both.
Both. You had bagged wine and bottled wine.
Okay,
what
don't hate. Okay, the bagged wine goes down a lot easier than the bottled wine does.
First of all, don't crap on Franzia.
Okay? Exactly.
And second of all, you can rip the box open when you're done, and you have a little inflatable pillow.
No, like, hear me out, though, because it's kind of like Paul Rudd, but instead of slap at the base, it's slap at the bag.
True, and he slapped my bag, if you know what I mean.
Heyo.
Hey.
My bag was slapped multiple times, and not just by a hand, my friends, but by a whip.
Ooh.
And
Indiana Jones style or like a riding crop?
It was like a riding crop.
See, I had a conversation with some people at work about this the other day, and I told them, I said, one of the things that you have to remember is you're not swinging from the shoulder, you're swinging from, it's a flick, right? from the
Yeah,
elbow.
no, he was totally just, it was all wrist.
Right, so he knew
And
what he was doing.
Yeah, and it wasn't like super painful, and it wasn't super light either. Like, it was nice.
Yeah.
And I wasn't expecting it because I'm fucking blindfolded, mind you.
Yeah.
I had no idea what he had planned. I was just there to be there for the dick, and next thing I know, I'm getting in the dick of Zeus himself, like lightning bolts, tridents. It's all happening.
Right in the butt.
Right in the butt.
No, there's literally lightning bolts and through the
Yeah.
vibrations in your butthole.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like through his phone.
2020, gentlemen.
Yeah.
2020.
So if you could give any advice to our listeners who are trying to be a little bit more adventurous with their ladies, but maybe there's some trepidation, maybe a little bit of anxiety, maybe they're not quite as outgoing as some, what would you say to them to kind of like help them ease those anxieties?
As a person who was historically sexually vanilla up until this point, you need to 100% give it a try, because I have never had an orgasm like that in my life. You are missing out. If you're scared, just talk to your partner. Have a conversation about it before it actually happens. So, you know, if you're the female and you want to be the one who puts the butt plug in your partner, just warn them ahead of time. But again, just have their conversation. Talk about it. Let it happen. Enjoy your sex life. Sex is important. Sex is beautiful. Go get a butt plug.
So if you're if a guy is trying to talk his girl into that, like from the female perspective, what argument would work besides just being super hot and blindfolding you and doing it?
Oh.
Because apparently that worked.
No, it worked for me, but then again, it don't take that much, because, you know, your girl is open to anything.
Now that she's out of the Navy, congrats.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm out of the Navy. I dyed my hair purple, dyed it back.
Yeah, it was a bit wild there.
I'm a new woman. I don't know who I am anymore. But apparently I'm a woman who likes butt plugs. So
Apparently.
I didn't know that until I got out, right? That's why you have to get out of the military. Don't say
Wait. You're telling me that it took for you getting out of the Navy to discover you like butt stuff? I thought that was like part of the MEPS. Like, all right, Marines on this side, Navy on this side, and then two very different testings.
Well,
we're doing duck walks.
That's for the
I
dudes,
think-
though.
Yeah, well, no, it was not just for the dudes.
No,
trust me.
I meant the butt stuff for the Navy dudes.
Well, I think that's what made me opposed to it, because I was like, I had this old ass man who had like age spots all over his hands. His hairline was all the way back to fucking Narnia, and I'm like, this man is sticking his finger at my butthole. How will I ever like this
Why
again?
was-
What? What?
You don't have a prostate. Why was he doing that?
I never once had anyone put their fingers in me while I was in
Okay,
MEPS.
so I may or may not have mentioned that at one point I thought as an 18-year-old I knew what anal fissures were,
Oh, boy.
and I may or may not have mentioned that in my exam. So he
Okay.
had I mean, I was kind of cute at the time. I had like short hair.
Yeah.
I'm sure he wanted to stick it in there anyway, but I was like, yeah, I think I had anal fissures at one point.
So
He
you
was
gave
like,
him an
Oh, okay.
excuse to put his fingers in there.
yeah.
Okay, I could see that because I remember being like, you know, a young boy and coming back from MEPS, and you know, your friends and family are like, so how was MEPS? And I was like, oh, it was pretty cool, you know, like took the ASVAB, showed my butthole to an old man, and they're like, what?
It's
Duck.
not just the men. It's really not. I can't be the only woman. I hope I'm not the only woman who had a finger in her butthole during MEPS.
So if you too had a finger in your butthole, Lindsay, what's your Instagram so they can tell you and you guys can share your experiences?
It's Lindsay, Lindsay, Hannah, HANNAHH.
See,
Please let me know.
that brings me to another thing. Because, like, it's been a while since I've been on a dating app, but I remember it'd be like, oh, yeah, like, I don't reply here too much, so reach me on Instagram, and my handle is XYZ____33333578, ha ha ha, butterflies kisses. And I'm like, I'm not going to remember that. I can't copy and paste it, you know?
Why not?
Yeah, I'm sorry, because that's like,
You can't do that through.
Yes,
what am I
you
going
can.
to do, get a
Can
pen and
you?
paper?
I mean, look, here's the thing. I've been on dating apps in a while because
Must be nice.
it didn't pan out well. So I gave it up a long time ago.
That is another episode that will be on our premium subscription. If you want to hear the behind-the-scenes tragedy of the ballad of AJ Pfeffer and the dating apps, feel free to subscribe to that. We'll let you know the details, as well as Lindsay's feet pics will be for sale there as well.
Yeah, buy my feet pics, man.
You know, that brings up a good point. I just want to go back for a second, right? I want to go back to the butt plugs for a sec, and then I want to go to the feet pics, right?
I'm all about the butt plugs. Go on.
So, yes, here's my question. And because I let's skip on that part. The important thing is, did he just like stuff it in there, or did he do anything to prime the area?
He did. He lubricated it, and I thought he was doing it to put his own member in it, and I was just like,
You said butt plugs 100 times. You can't say penis.
okay, that's fair. Penis. I thought he was gonna stick his dick in my butthole. I thought he was preparing for that. I was like, okay.
And you're like, all right, cool. I'm down to clown.
But then I felt something cold, and I was like, if his dick is really that cold right now, there's no way he has like the ability to stick it inside me. I was
It is
like,
a popsicle.
This is definitely something foreign and something I'm not used to.
So it
and
was Hencho in Mexico? Is that what you're telling me?
yeah.
Okay,
All
fair
right,
enough.
then. AJ, what was your second question?
My second. Okay, so feet pics.
Okay.
All right, we've had a lot of jokes around here in the group chat with myself and Mike, and I have a friend of mine who gets requests for feed pics all the time. Like, she sends me these like screenshots of these dudes that are like, "Oh, you're so beautiful. Let me get pictures of your feet." And she's like, "Look at these fucking creepers." But as P.T. Barnum once said, a sucker's born every minute. So from what I understand, from what you've mentioned earlier before we started filming, you film and take pictures and send these guys pictures of feet pics.
Okay, I have only filmed once, technically. I filmed myself getting a pedicure, and I sent it to someone who was actually on the ship that I used to be on.
Fun.
And guess how much it cost him? I just want to guess.
$50.
I'm going to go with $200.
It was exactly $200.
Oh, wow.
Nailed it.
Yep, that went straight towards my credit card debt. And I think total now from it, I've probably gotten about close to $1,200.
Oh, my. $1,200 from feet pics. Hypothetically, because I'm sure you haven't paid taxes on that.
No.
So it's all hypothetical.
Yeah, so that's just saying, like, that's just an estimate. Like, it's not accurate. Like, if I
Which she donated it all to charity.
Well, she's not running a business, right? This is more of a, she sends them feet pics, and they donate money to help
Right.
her out with certain things, like getting out of the Navy's hard.
Yes.
There's a lot of transitional issues, I imagine.
Right. A lot of money.
I remember the day I got out of the Marine Corps, I went and picked up my DD-214. I turned in my post office key. I went back to my house at the time and blasted nowhere desert of California. And I kind of just watched Netflix for 4 hours and tried to contemplate my life. Like, shit's expensive. You got to start thinking about, what am I going to do with myself now?
Yeah, because you can't just get out without a plan. We've talked about this extensively on the show before, but it is inherently important for any of you out there who are 6 months to a year out. Start planning now. And if you are out, it's never too late to do the due diligence and do your homework and research because, victory loves preparation, and you will only go as far as your angle of trajectory coming out of the military.
And I think also you need to think about the fact that whatever you're doing now is going to affect what you're doing when you're out. So I got hired by the same people I worked for when I was active duty, because I acted the way I was supposed to act.
You came back and got that contractor money.
I did. I'm getting contractor money. So that's just something to think about. I know you hate your situation, but just think about what your situation could give you if you just put up with it. Because it's hard.
Wait, is this
being out.
the butt plug or back to the...
Both. This is both.
Just take a deep breath. Let it happen.
And I agree that you need to have a plan, but whatever you plan is probably not going to be 100% what you wanted it to be, and just be prepared for that loss or that failure that's going to happen to you.
Yeah, I earlier today I was at the Marine Corps Museum for the 75th anniversary celebration of the Battle of Iwo Jima, and they had a Medal of Honor recipient, one of two living World War II Medal of Honor recipients there giving the keynote speech. Dude was absolutely phenomenal. You could check out Chief Warrant Officer 4 Williams on my story. But then they had other Iwo Jima battle survivors there as well. And I spoke to one of them, and I said, we were all 18, 19, early 20s when we joined the military, and none of us really expected to live past 22. You know, like whether it be through combat or reckless behavior or just lack of foresight, none of us really thought that we would hit mid-20s and 30s and later. So, like, now that, you know, a lot of the guys who went to Iraq and Afghanistan are getting their late 20s, you know, in their 30s and stuff, like, what advice do you have moving forward into your later years? And, you know, this dude, like, he was a Purple Heart recipient. He just had, like, just cold, dead eyes from all the souls that he had taken on the sands of Iwo Jima.
Woof.
And he looks at me right in the eyes and he goes, you need to find what you're passionate about and then chase it. Because if you don't chase your passion, you will miss the opportunity and life will pass you by.
Absolutely. I agree with that 100%. Because you know what people kept telling me when I got out? Oh, so you're going to go be a fucking cop now, right? You're going to go and pull people over and do all that bullshit. I was like, no, that's not what I want to do. And they're like, oh, but you spent 5 years doing it, so that's all you know, right? I was like, maybe it is, but it's not too late for me to know something else. And that's why I completely switched my career path. Like, I'm psychology now. I'm in school for psychology.
Bet.
And that's what I want to do. And maybe it's stupid in the eyes of other veterans who are like, oh, you just need to stick with what your rate is. No, I'm not doing that because you know what? Fuck you. You told me I need to do it, so now I'm not going to do it. This is what I've always wanted to do, and I don't care how long it takes me. I don't care if I'm the oldest person in all of my classes. Literally every class I go to in college, this is what I want to do, and I'm going to do it, and there's nothing anyone can tell me otherwise, like, period.
Yeah, so AJ, now that you've been out for quite some time and, you know, you've had a successful career, you've worked for different agencies, you have, you know, a lot of good things going for you, like, what advice would you give to those guys now that you're looking back? Because, you know, you always say, like, oh, where am I going to be in 5 years? You've already passed that 5 years mark since you've been out. So, like, what advice do you have to people who are coming up to that?
I think a lot of things you have to remember is that when you get out, if you don't have a plan before you get out, or if you have a plan and it hasn't come to fruition yet, you know, you're going for psychology, right? Like,
yeah.
That's got to take a while. That's a lot of study. That's a lot of figuring your shit out.
8 years.
Right. And you're trying to live your life and get your shit done. And I'm 100% on that. Like, when I got out, I got a job offer because at the last minute, this wasn't what I was looking for originally. I was going to get out and go to college and do all that stuff because I was like, I'll just use my GI Bill and be a bum for 4 years, right? I had one of my boots had got in contact with me, and he said, hey, I got this job making X amount of money doing this in this country. And I said, that sounds retarded. Nobody would ever pay you that much money to do it. 10 days later, I had a job offer, and it was the day of my EAS. Like, I was on terminal leave. The day I was supposed to get out of the Marine Corps, they gave me a job offer, and they said, this much money doing this thing in this country. And I said, you're out of your fucking mind.
I remember that. And I think I've spoke to that on the podcast before, where you and I made that epic cross-country road trip with, like, a shoestring budget vehicle that by all rights shouldn't have made it out of my driveway.
Oh, yeah. So old Danny had to move to, Norfolk?
Yeah, Chesapeake, Virginia, yeah.
And we were both in 29 Palms in Southern California in the desert at the time. If you don't know what that is, it's the intersection between Who Gives a Shit and God Forgot in the middle of the desert. Like, it's terrible. The shrimping thing came from Palm Springs, which is a place people have heard before. That's like an hour and a half away from this hole in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, if you're unfamiliar with that, listen to our previous episodes of this season where AJ goes into ass-bleeding detail, no pun intended.
Pun very much intended.
And so here we are, and my boy's got this interview, right? And he needs this job in order to, like, you know, pay down some debt, get his life going and stuff. And this car is just, like, falling apart.
And move out of California because California blows.
And, like, everything was falling apart. And I was like, I don't give a fruit-flavored fuck. We are going to make it to fucking Virginia. If I have to suck off every trucker from here to fucking Napa Valley, like, we're going to make it.
We got stuck in Vegas for 3 days while he got his whatever the hell was wrong with the truck, like the front axle fell off or something.
Yeah, bolts missing, the rack and pinion needed replacing, the power steering needed replacing.
Right, and it would have been cool to be stuck in Vegas for 3 days if you weren't broke. Right, we were both broke. I remember us going out one night. We were like, "Yeah, we're gonna go out." We had like one drink apiece because that's all we could afford.
and then
we were like, "Let us retire early, like old people, because we're out of drinks."
Yeah, and then we're walking through the casino, and AJ is like, "Papa Bear's gonna win him some money," and he six the fucking the dollar or whatever into the slot machine. He pulls the handle. Wah, wah, wah. He's like, fuck. And I was like, all right, well, let me give this a try. And I was like, where's the most patriotic looking slot machine? I found one, had a bunch of eagles. I went in there, I put $1 in. It was like, bam, $16. I was like, fuck yeah. And I kept going. Paid for our hotels for the whole time we were in Vegas off that one slot machine.
Are you kidding me?
I'm bad at gambling. We stayed one time. This is a different time. We stayed at the Hooters Hotel, which no longer exists apparently. Which, by the way, as much as I'm not a big fan of, I mean, Hooters is fine, but right, the gimmick
I like Hooters because they sent us shit while we were deployed. Like a bunch of these other restaurants didn't, but Hooters did. So like, I am easy to buy. Like boobs buy a lot of loyalty from me.
Well,
you know.
Here's my thing. It's like, I've been to a couple of Hooters, and usually it's with him. It's not a place I would choose to go to on my own, just because the gimmick makes me awkward. Because I'm a very large percentage British, so being British, like you get a little uncomfortable around that. And
Boobs?
No, like women you don't know with their tits in your face.
Oh, I love that.
I mean,
well, see, like here's the thing though, is he's like overly polite and
It's 'cause-
respectful.
it's
He's
because
like,
it's fake.
Madam, I do not wish to make eye contact with thine because
That's not because of that. It's because it's fake, right? They know if they push their tits up a little bit and stick their shorts up a little bit, then you'll be like, tits and ass, and you'll tip them more. It's like going to a strip club.
brother man, what did you say on the last episode? We
I
all
s-
pay for it in the end.
Yes, we all pay
Money.
for it in the end, but I would prefer to purchase it with, not cash directly.
Yeah, just 3 months of wasted time, a one night stand, and then never talking to each other again. Fuck, right?
Oh, that hits home.
I don't know
Right?
about all that, but
No,
anyway.
we've all had that happen at least once or
We
twice.
have, yeah.
Like there's all of us, every one of us listening has a story of somebody that we stayed up till 2 or 3 a.m. talking to, and then like a month later, it's like fucking they don't reply to you, and it's like I should have just got to sleep, you know?
Exactly. That's how I feel right now. Every time I go on a date with someone, I'm like,
Yeah.
what if this doesn't go anywhere? And I literally just wasted a Saturday night. I could have been at home, sending feet pics and watching The Office.
I'm the other direction on that. Like I will, if I'm interested, I will put in the effort.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter how much effort you put in if the other person is like shitty and then they lead you on. You know?
Clearly, I've been broken up with overseas multiple times.
Bro, fucking A, man. Like, I cannot tell you how many fucking times this dude has been like, oh, man, you remember fucking so-and-so? Like, oh, yeah, that didn't fucking work out. Now they're pregnant and engaged or something. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Like,
I was going out with a female Marine back in the day. Like, I was out and she was out. Like, she just had been a female Marine.
service members, just the worst, right?
But
God, fuck those bitches.
Right?
Just the worst.
But I figured, at least she had some concept. So I didn't have to explain all the terms to her. Like, if I used an acronym, she didn't have to, like, get an explanation for 5 minutes. And it went really well for a while. And she was very clear with her communication. Like, when she had a problem, she would straight just tell me. Like, we were at lunch one time. And I had driven up there to have lunch with her. And she had said, I have an issue with this. And I think that the effort, I think it would be important for you to do this to fix the problem. And I'd appreciate it if you did. And I said, it's a fair argument, and I will do that. And I did what she asked, which was a simple thing, right? She just had an issue with one of my exes that I had some unresolved stuff
But
with.
hold on. So it didn't even work out anyways, though. So it's just like, what was the point of it all? Like she just wasted a bunch of your time.
Well, she broke up with me when I was overseas.
Exactly. So like you just wasted a bunch of your time.
Yeah, and this is the thing. Like she Skyped me overseas one time, and she told me, hey, I need some space. And I was like, all right, I know where this is going.
Some space? You're in a different country. How much more fucking space can you get?
She needs some space in between her thighs by another man is what she needs.
I know what she meant at the time, so I said, she needs some space, fine. Because I'm not, I'm willing to try things and to, like, give people what they need, right? And I'm not going to be the kind of person where when stuff's going bad, I'm going to be an asshole about it. So she said she needed some space, and I gave her some space for like a week and a half. And then at some point we were talking, and I said, look, do you need space or do you need space from me? Like, if you need to break up with me, let's just do it. And this is 2 different times this happened overseas. I said it was like 4 a.m, and I was getting up for a 12-hour shift.
Yeah, because deployment relationships are hard,
Yes.
Because of the time
hard,
difference. I had to get up at 4 a.m. to talk to them at whatever time was their evening. And so I get up super early, and I talked to them in 2 different times. I knew it was coming. Like, I saw it coming, and I would just be like, look, if you're going to break up with me, could you do it? Because I got to get to the gym, and then I have to be at the trucks by 5:30. Like, I don't have time to fuck around and have you string me along.
And that goes back to something I wanted to tell, like, both of you, even though it's not relevant to you anymore, obviously, because you're in a happy relationship.
Woohoo.
People will always make the time for the things that they actually want.
Yes, 100%.
If they are not making the time for you, they don't want you, and they're too fucking cowardly to tell you they don't want you.
Yeah, because like I reply to fucking 75 DMs a day, right? I fucking ran a business. I ran the fucking social media. I was doing nonprofit. I was traveling the world. I was doing all these fucking things. But yet, if I wanted to make time for somebody, I would make time for them, you know? And so, like, somebody who's just like, oh,
you are very good about that.
Yeah, and so somebody's like, I'm busy. Like, no, you just don't make time for me. You make time for the things you want, but I'm not what you want, and you're not brave enough to tell me that.
I have one caveat to that. As much as I hate using that word because it's an officer word, right?
Is.
My one caveat is you have to keep in mind that sometimes you can't physically make time out of nothing.
I disagree. Because
well, no, hold on. Let me say what I'm saying, and then if you disagree with me at that point, then you can say so. Like, I have a job where I work 2 hours away from where I live, right? So it's a 2-hour drive there. It's a 2-hour drive home. And then I work 8 to 10 hours a day.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not that I don't make time when, I'm seeing somebody and I want to make time for them. It's important to note that the time that I do have is very sparing. And so even if it's not a lot of time, when you give it to somebody, especially when you don't have a lot of time, that time means a lot. Like, that's the time I could be playing video games or washing clothes or fixing my truck, but I don't do that. I spend that time with somebody.
And
then that time means something.
As a woman, there is a difference between a man who will give you all these materialistic things and it's like, oh, okay, but he's not giving you your time. A man who gives you his time is worth way more than any diamond ring or anything you can get.
Because you can always make more money, but you can't get time back.
Exactly.
Your time on this earth is finite, and so the time that you dedicate towards it is important. Like, if I dedicated as much time to physical fitness as Lindsay did, maybe I would win a fitness competition like she did, but I don't. I dedicate my time to social media, so I'm doing well on social media.
What do you say, woof?
Hey, but again, that goes back to, rearranging your priorities, as I have.
Yeah, so she was dedicated to that. She put a lot of time into that, and it yielded results. I was dedicated to this. AJ was dedicated to his career. So, like, at the end of the day, but see, here's the thing, though, and I think this is what you're trying to allude at, is, like, you cannot, like, if somebody does give you the time, you cannot spend that time complaining about not having time.
That's true.
Because I remember before I think it was my second deployment, this gal would just be like, oh, you're going to be gone. I'm going to be sad. I'm like, you're ruining the time we have now to complain about the time that we're not going to have. Mm-hmm. So if all you do is just complain about the time we're not going to have, we're not enjoying the time we have now, which is not building that foundation we need to get through the hard time.
Exactly. And I understand the impulse. I really do. Like, it's a natural feeling to be sad about the time you won't have, right? I turned 30 in Baghdad, right? And so turning 30 is a big deal. It's way, like, psychologically, it's a bigger deal than turning 21. I turned 30 in Baghdad, and the day I remember I was walking across the LZ at the embassy, and I was just, I'm trying so hard to ignore the fact that you just popped the top. So for those of you listening on Spotify or Apple or iTunes, Dad popped the top of a beer,
My God.
and it foamed into his mouth. And it looked like he was getting the world's worst cum shot. It was terrible.
Like, Lindsay and I made eye contact, and all I could see in her eyes was like, I've been there, brother. Stay strong.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Just take it. Just swallow and cry about it later.
Just know this is how much I love you. I'm giving you this time.
Oh, fucking perfect.
Like, I just peed. Is someone going to pay for that?
So this is a great time to talk about our sponsor, the Nut Ruck from Arbor Arms. A great story.
The Nut Ruck.
The great story behind a great product. You should check them out, arborarms.com. And much like we were saying earlier, the starters of this company, they had a vision. They started out of the garage, and now, I saw their booth in SHOT Show. They're doing huge things. And they're a good story of military success. So check out the Nut Ruck. It's a tactical fanny pack that you can keep your Plan B pills in.
Me. That video.
One time, her and I were going to go watch this movie, and I'm sitting there, and she sends me, like, a video, and it was, like, her jamming out to, like, some fucking song, and, like, she, like, pops, like, I thought it was, like, maybe, like, a mint in her mouth or something, and then the caption came up, "Die, babies, die," and she panned to the fucking Plan B package, and I was just like, oh my God.
She snorked, ladies and gentlemen. You know it's true.
No, that did happen.
Well,
what, Daniel? Daniel, you really
Do
didn't
you
say
wanna see
something
the video?
honest?
Do you want to see the video?
He probably still
I
has
still
the
have
video.
it.
I 100% believe him. That's my point.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
don't
that-
believe me. He embellishes all the time. But
Erroneous.
on this, I believe it.
Did you find it?
I'm working on it
Oh
because
God.
I know it exists, and you know exactly what I'm talking about.
I know.
While you look at it, let me just finish the previous conversation. So, it's not about the time so far as spending a lot of it. It's about the time that you have. Absolutely means a lot.
Oh, Lizzo is playing in the
Oh my God!
I have never lied on this show.
with Lizzo playing in the
Never
background.
once.
I wanna add that.
Do we have
I'ma
the rights to
hit
that
you back
song?
in a
Can we
minute.
get the rights to that song?
I don't know if we do yet, but we're about to.
We're gonna need to.
That is a hilarious.
I want to release that video on the podcast page.
See, I told you.
My face is just like I am 100% satisfied with what is happening right now.
Yo, and so and if you don't mind, and if I ever get to a point that you don't want to talk about, safe words are yellow and red. Yellow, I'm approaching the boundaries. Red is hard stop. So if I remember the story correctly, this guy didn't tell you that, or he didn't pull out, and he didn't tell
Right.
you that he was going to,
Right.
and then he was like, "Don't worry about it. Like I had a vasectomy."
Yes, that did happen. That fucking douchebag. What was his name? His name was Forrest.
Yeah, and then so the next day you're just
Fucking
like,
Forrest. Not
You had-
like the good Forrest, like Forrest Gump. Like Forrest, like I'm a douchebag Forrest.
You,
He was the Jenny
you
This
had a
in
guy
the
named
situation.
Forrest coming.
He
you.
was the Jenny.
I only know two Forrests. I know Forrest Gump and Forrest Whitaker. One's a fictional character, one's an actor. So which one?
and our friend Forrest
Obviously the
Munden, who runs the
fictional.
Salty Soldier.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no
Yeah,
shit,
yeah,
that
yeah.
guy.
Was it Forrest Munden?
No.
Okay,
I
good.
don't remember his last name. I'm sure it's something super fucking douchey. Fuck him.
Yeah, and so you're like, LOL, did you really have a vasectomy? Because I'm not on birth control. And he was just like, nah, you might want to.
Like he straight up lied to me in that moment. I should have known, frankly, but
That's
it,
so fucked up, isn't it?
it is fucked up. Like,
But-
why would you put me through that risk? Like, it's
Yeah.
my like. He doesn't have to worry about it because he's not the one taking the Plan B video while Lizzo plays in the background.
That's the thing though, like, and this we've had this conversation several times this season. I like that we have a girl on the show that we can like have a girl conversation about it and get their perspective.
Yeah,
Because
a girl.
Yeah.
well, I just mean like we have a lot of dudes on the show, and the dudes
Right.
dudes generally have.
No, I mean that as in I have the personality of a man.
Yeah, but you are still physically female.
Yeah, that's what you.
So you
know.
have-
Yeah, so I get this video, right? And like I'm just like I don't even remember what movie we were going to see. Like it was something that,
Aladdin.
oh, it was the new Aladdin, wasn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah. So like I'm about to go watch this Disney movie like during the daytime, a matinee with my friend, and she was like, "Oh yeah, by the way, I totes got cream pied last night." And I was like, "What the fuck, Lindsay?"
Okay, but in my defense, it never would have happened if he hadn't told me that he had a vasectomy.
Yeah,
Wait,
that's
would it-
fucked. I agree with that.
Would
But I
it,
shouldn't
would
have
it never have
believed him.
happened, or would you have made plans
No,
in advance?
it wouldn't have happened.
Okay,
I
that's
am
fair.
100. I
'Cause
don't
why
do
take the
birth
risk,
control.
right?
I
Yeah.
don't do birth control because of what it's done to me in the past. It is something I am against, which is I guess is my fault. But at the same time, you need to give me the same respect of being like, pull the fuck out. I know the pussy is bomb, but you need
From
to
Boston,
You need
Bassin,
to-
bomb.
you need to pull
Bomb
the
ass
fuck
pussy.
out, man. Like,
get your car keys and come over for this bomb pussy.
yeah, like this is 50-50, my dude.
Lindsay, I don't know if you listen to the podcast on a regular basis, but I'd like
I
to point
do.
out that it's important to note that pulling out doesn't work.
Speaking
I
of,
remember that episode.
Speaking of Alexander, I
Ooh.
distinctly remember a rock paper scissors game
Where
from-
you won, and therefore you were the one that had to pull out.
No, it means I didn't have to pull out.
We discussed this on the show last time.
Yeah, we did, and you did not have a victory like Mike and I did. So, for all the listeners, have you had the chance to make good on the bet yet, or have you been a good boy?
Guess we'll find out in 9 months.
No, I'm just saying, like he may have not had a date in the last week. Who am I to say?
AJ?
I don't know. So, but update about that us when it happens, though. Would you keep us posted?
I will update you on the pull-out bet.
Okay, thank you
Sure.
for that. Okay, so
Wait. You look up whatever it was you were looking up.
Oh, I'm done
So-
with that.
So here's my question.
Yeah.
You said, and this is just I'm coming from a medical perspective now.
Oh, great.
You said you're against using birth control.
Yes.
Now, is that because of the physical and psychological side effects?
Yes.
All right. Now, you're not against the using birth control in a moral sense.
No. And I am pro that is your choice. But for me as a woman who I got put on birth control when I was like 13 because I was having irregular episodes, right? And from there, like I have a lot of issues with anxiety and depression. I've been super open about that. And I kind of believe that might have something to do with why I'm struggling with it now.
Yeah, like having your hormones fucked with for the last 10 years.
Yeah, when they're not even
I'm sure
developed
that had
yet.
nothing to do with it.
Yeah, so I'm like, well, I'm struggling with it so much now. Why am I going to go back on it and put myself through that? And I think every woman who is also struggling the way I am right now should take a look at their fucking birth control. Because it is a secret. They do.
Yeah.
Medical professionals do not tell you that happens. And it does all the time.
100%. There's various different forms of birth control medication, and for each person it's different, and for each person everyone reacts to medication different ways.
Yes.
So let's say there's 50 different types of birth control medication.
Yeah.
You may react poorly to 40 of them.
Yeah. And so for fellas, like, cut your lady some slack, like that shit is difficult to
like
deal
just
with.
fucking
right?
wrap your dick up, man.
But not only that, but just like the cramps and the mood swings. Like, imagine if like
Weight
you
gain.
and I had to fucking have our intestines feel like a velociraptor was trying to come out of them for a week every month. Like, we'd be a little fucking nutter too.
Well, it's not just that, and she's right about weight gain. Like if you're taking a new if your girl's taking a new birth control medication because you're with her, right, and she's trying to not get pregnant, like if she gains a couple pounds, don't be a douchebag about it. Like, she's taking a medication that's making her gain weight
And
for
usually
you.
it's not even a couple. Like when I was 13 when I got on the pill, but 15 when I got on the shot. Then the shot made me gain 20 pounds.
The
As
shot
a junior,
definitely makes you
as
gain
a
weight.
junior in high
Yeah.
school, the psychological effects of gaining 20 pounds,
Yeah.
horrible.
I can see that. That would be
Horrible.
like, because at that age, like, everyone is so conscious about each other's bodies,
Yes.
And so now that like we're a little older, we can kind of get away with a little bit more,
Mhm.
and especially in the wintertime when you dress a little more layers, get away with a little bit more under layers.
Listen, let's be honest about it. When you're a teenager, you're an asshole, right? Most people before the age of 25 don't know fuck all about anything. So it's important to note. It's important to note, like, if let's say you're with a woman, right, and you're whatever age you are, doesn't matter if you're a teenager, you're 25, or you're 45. If your woman's taking birth control so that she can have sex with you and not get pregnant, respect the fact if she gains a couple pounds.
because
you're
she's-
probably not having a six-pack
she's
yourself, so
doing
chill the
it-
fuck out.
And she's doing it so you don't have to pull out because your pull out game is fucking weak.
Yeah, I saw that tweet where it was just like, I took a pill every day so my boyfriend could go raw on this puss, but he won't take an allergy pill so I can have a cat. Like, okay.
Yeah, no, fuck you.
I love that. You
Oh,
need to send me that.
absolutely. Yeah, I remember that.
Not fucking fair. Misogynistic. Fuck men.
Yeah, because like I
Anyway.
think.
Well,
I've
you
been-
do, but that's not really the point.
Yeah, but
Because I've
they
been
know I'm not on birth control.
I've been fairly open about this in the past, and I put out a tweet that did really well. No big
All your
D.
tweets do
No,
really
like-
well.
No
Like-
big D.
Like 1 out of like 4 do well, and the other 3 get deleted.
Well,
so you only
considering
see
you
the
post
ones-
every day.
I really don't though. Not
I
on
get
Twitter.
I get a Twitter. Now, here's the thing. I have a Twitter.
Twitter?
I get a tweet.
Yeah.
I have a Twitter account. I activated it in like 2012. I don't think I've ever tweeted anything. And there's like 4 people I follow. One is him. One is our mutual friend Emery, who
Yeah.
is like more his friend than mine, but
Well,
I've met
she's
her
b-
once.
She's been on the show a few times, so the listeners are aware.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
has she been on the show?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
twice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I got
with Angry Cops and Canadian
Oh,
Khaleesi,
yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. So I've only met her in person once, and it was for a couple minutes. She's really cool. Okay, sorry, we
No
dropped.
worries.
I dropped something on the table. So, no, the thing I like about Emery is all of her posts are very body positive, and they're very psychologically positive.
Yeah,
like
sure.
they're very like pro, in the right direction.
Yeah.
It's 2020. Like, let's not be children.
Yeah,
But-
she definitely does a good job of like loving herself and then like encouraging other people to do the same.
Right, and there's a big difference between being full of yourself and loving yourself. Loving
Yeah.
yourself is a good thing because we all have a lot of psychological issues. Everybody has them, whether you think you're the best person on earth or not. Like, everybody has an issue, and if you can work past it, hey, good, more power to you.
Yeah, sure. So I totally agree with you. And as for that tweet, I said, young kings, if you can't afford the $3 for a condom, the $49 for a Plan B pill, or the $400 for the vasectomy copay, you certainly can't afford the $233,000 it costs to raise a child.
Did you notice something in that video?
Make good choices.
Did you notice it?
What's that?
He got the off-brand Plan B.
I thought you bought it.
I bought it, but he told me get the off-brand.
No.
He only sent me $39. The
What?
in-brand one is exactly $50.
Trash.
Oh, jeez. And somebody replied to me. They're like, where are you finding condoms for $3? And so, be a little cheeky. I sent him a screenshot of Amazon Trojan standard condoms lubricated for like $2 for
Trojan man
for $3. And I was like, also, if you go to like a sex shop, you can buy them for like 50 cents a pop,
Mhm.
And he's like, I stand corrected. And that was a nice moment to see somebody on the internet. Like, it
You
didn't
guys
turn into an
really
argument.
connected.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, it's real good.
If you're in the service, and I've said this before, go to BAS, go to whatever the version of your battalion aid station is. I guarantee you they have a fishbowl.
Yep.
They have a fishbowl of condoms. Go in there, take the whole fishbowl, and walk out. No one will argue with you.
Every clinic, I know here in the area we are in Virginia, every clinic has a fishbowl full of condoms.
I went to Baghdad. I went to
I like
Pakistan.
how we're all preaching about using condoms, but nobody in this room does.
No, that's true.
Hey, look, that's our personal choice. All right. I'm saying if you're going to use them, which you should, if you're being with somebody
Yes.
that you're not like with on a regular
Use
basis.
condoms, safe sex, kids.
Absolutely. Like, go to your local BAS, go to your local battalion aid station or whatever version of that you have. Get the condoms. If you go to Walmart,
Yeah.
you can get a pack of Trojan EZ, which is the blue box. That's my go-to. It's ones I like. If I
Blue
was
box,
using
yeah.
if I was using them, and
Okay, you are being a bit of a deceiver right now because I know you don't use those.
Yeah,
I
seriously,
have-
Come on,
He
man.
uses the Magnums. Don't let him lie to you.
look, it's latex. It stretches, man. You don't need to get the magnums to prove to yourself you have a big dick.
No, what I absolutely hate though is the posts of the girls like putting the condom on their foot and they're being like, oh, if he says it's too tight, whatever. Like, yeah, that's bullshit because a vag can push out a fucking baby doesn't mean that you shouldn't go slow when you first put it in. Like, just because something has the capacity doesn't mean you shouldn't be gentle. You see what I mean?
Look, I've
Like,
had multiple people that I've dated that were like mothers before, and so they've given birth before.
Okay.
And like you're halfway in, and they're like, "Oh my God, you're hitting my spot."
Liars.
No, they're 100%
She
accurate.
deceives you.
They're 100% accurate. Like some people's
burn the witch.
some people's spot is there, and you're halfway there, right? So when you
There's
get
no. I'm sorry. There's no way.
But you know what always hits the spot?
oh, there's a way.
What always hits the spot is Grill Your Ass Off Seasoning.
Grill Your Ass Off Seasoning is delicious. We posted me using it the other day because I did. Dan said, and I quote, and he's been eating very healthy recently, but he
I'm
said,
trying to.
I said, hey man, what do you want to do for dinner? He goes, some hamburger helper beef stroganoff would be like angel pussy right now.
I did say that.
And I said, say no more, sir. I'm headed to Walmart. And so I made some with turkey meat because turkey meat makes it a little healthier.
#FitLife.
Fit life. And I threw a little of that Pop Smoke Fajita Grill Your Ass Off seasoning in there, and it made it pop.
Yeah, so use our discount code SmokePit at grillyourassoff.com, as well as also check out SemperFiSoap.com and get yourself some artisanal, vegan, gluten-free, highly organic, make your butthole taste delicious.
Oh, I love delicious
Soap at
buttholes.
SemperFiSoap.com. Okay, so we only have one more sponsor to plug, and that will be the winner of the Battle Archives giveaway that we did on our Instagram and Facebook. We'll get to that just in a little bit later.
Ooh.
So, Lindsay, you've been gone for a while. You've been doing big things.
I have.
And we talked about this a little bit. Although you were active duty when we came on the show and we talked at length about preparing for transition, it was still a little difficult.
It was super difficult.
So, like, AJ's been out for a while. I've been out for 3-4 years. You've been out for, what, 6 months?
No, not even.
Not even.
Like 4.
So, like, as far as you still being, like, within the blowback zone of that, like, well, if you had to go back to 3 or 4 months ago and do something different, what would it be?
I would say apply for your GI Bill while you're on terminal leave. In the interest of disclosure, I am not using my GI Bill. Something that some of you who are getting med boarded out or getting medically discharged for whatever reason, if you're collecting more than 80% disability, there is a program. It is called vocational rehab. And if you so wish to, they will pay for your bachelor's without you actually using your GI Bill.
Wow, that's fucking a deal right there.
So I'm using Voc Rehab for my bachelor's right now, and I still have my GI Bill to use for my master's and my half of my PhD.
Fucking fantastic.
And they don't tell you about it because they don't want you to use it, right?
Well, yeah, because like the government only sets aside a finite amount of money to give to programs, right? Because
exactly.
I have, now that I have a little bit more experience in this, let me tell you what, it is a fucking nightmare to get any sort of funding approved. Because I mean, let's like we all like to champion for veteran causes and stuff, but the fucking the orphan puppies and the dyslexic kids, like everybody needs money, right?
I'm sorry, but
she's like, fuck the puppies.
If you aren't getting your benefits for disability as a veteran, I know you don't want to use it because, oh, you look like a pussy, but that pride will not pay you like that VA check will pay you.
Yeah, but it can be difficult, though, if you're working full-time trying to support, like, your family or your kids and stuff. You may not be able to take the time off to go to an appointment.
It's not that many appointments, though.
Well, here's the thing.
And it's okay. You go to one appointment, right? That pays your family until you die.
He's
come
alluding.
on.
Yeah.
He's alluding to me because there's been times when I've made appointments, and because of my job, like there was one time I had like 5 appointments, and I had the DAV, the Disabled American Veterans, have already looked at my records. They've already sent a guy to come help me. And I remember there was one time I had to go back to a recertification course because it was a new program where I was working overseas, and for reasons beyond my understanding, I was in the air flying from Dubai to DC.
Hard flex.
Right, hard flex. That's not where I wasn't stationed in Dubai, but that's where you leave out of to go to DC.
No, he got stationed in Dubai, and by that I mean the bar, and he was drinking Johnny Walker Blue.
No, let me tell you, when I was in Dubai, I would pop in Dubai. I'd be there for 24 hours or less. But if you're at the Dubai airport, they have their own hotel. And if you pay $67 US, you can jump up to the junior executive suite.
Fuck yeah.
And the junior executive suite means you get free booze
AJ.
at the hotel lounge.
AJ.
Did you get that executive pussy?
I'm going to go with no because...
No, but what he did tell me about Dubai was apparently if you pay 3 schmeckles, they'll put you in an SUV and take you out to a Bedouin camp.
Oh!
$65. I had a friend of mine did this, and I'm so
Yes.
pissed at myself. I tried to do it on the way out, but I ended up going through a different country on my last trip out.
So we got to go back, right?
We 100%
gotta go
have to go back. And it's not expensive. It's a 14.5-hour flight. If you do it in advance, it's like $500. You go to Dubai. You pay $65 US. You get to ride in like Land Rovers and Range Rovers that have been like souped up.
Big pimpin',
right?
spending the cheese.
You do like dune buggy
Cash.
shit through the desert, like you're smashing into dunes and shit. And then they take you to a Bedouin camp and they put you in a full on like Bedouin costume, and you get to like hold a falcon,
looking like a
on your arm,
Jedi,
looking
This
like
is
a
AJ
goddamn boss,
flexing.
right? And then you get to sit there for like 45 minutes where they have barbecue. They feed you barbecue that they're making right in front of you.
Oh, it sounds so delicious.
And they give you like a full-on like history lesson about like Bedouins and shit.
Hey, I'm not paying for history. I'm not paying to learn, okay?
Look, you
give
could
me a
just
falcon.
not
I
listen.
know, right?
You could not listen and just eat the barbecue. I'm just saying they're doing it while you're eating.
Eat the fucking barbecue, Dan.
Oh, I mean, obviously, I'm going to eat the barbecue.
Look,
He eats
But one
anything.
thing, yes.
Look, in Dubai, you
Including
can spend
the booty.
$1,500 in Dubai, and you can drive a McLaren, right?
Oh, AJ was also telling me that for 2 schmeckles, they'll bring you like a peasant that you can like insult, and he just has to stand there and take it.
I need a safe word.
The safe word is
Yellow and
pineapples.
red.
I was literally just thinking that pineapple should be my safe word. I'll text that to my
Yeah,
fuck
so
buddy right now.
AJ sent me a video of him just insulting this poor peasant, who he was happy for the money. I mean, granted, he only got a percentage of a schmeckle, but yeah, he had some good quips. He was like, "Your parents don't love you. That's why you don't have shoes."
Let me just tell you, Dubai. If you have the $500 to go to Dubai, Dubai money is like
So you're saying it only takes $500 to fly to Dubai?
yes.
Yeah, if you plan it out. Yeah.
Are you serious?
If you plan in advance, it's $500.
See, fuck y'all.
It's
You guys gotta travel when you get out of the fucking military.
Yeah, AJ and I have been to like fucking 20
My
some
boob
odd
fell
countries. We've been to like 20 some odd countries. I don't think we've ever paid more than $600 for a flight, including our trip
serious?
to Australia or Russia.
Australia was a 22-hour flight, and we
Yeah.
spent $506 a piece.
Are you? See?
Round trip.
This is
Yeah.
what you guys could be doing right now.
I mean, my entire like highlights on my Instagram bio is just like the travels I've had in the last few years. Like, I'm more than willing to tell anybody how to do this, but people are just like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna let some loser cream pie me and spend the money on birth control.
I feel attacked right now.
You should feel attacked.
In 20
Personally
In
attacked.
my defense, I am taking my first out-of-country trip in September. That's not with the military,
Wah,
to
wah,
Costa
wah.
Rica.
That'll
yeah.
be fun.
Costa Rica's fantastic.
Yeah.
They have like the 5th best medical system in the entire
And
planet.
see, this is
Yeah.
this is why I quit competing, because this is the things that I want to be doing right now while I'm 24, almost 25. I want to fucking travel.
And also, in your defense, you really don't know that they're losers till after they cream pie you.
This seems to be a pattern that I'm trying to break myself of. But
Yeah.
yes, you are absolutely correct.
As I am one to do.
Yes.
We all have those things that we get stuck with, that we try to be good people, right? Like I'm looking at Lindsay across the table right now. And I'm saying
He most certainly is.
and I'm saying
Because my boobs are out.
I'm looking in her eyes because I'm not a disgusting pervert.
He is using all of his Marine Corps discipline to look her right in the eyes. He's like, senior drill instructor would roll over in his grave if I lose bearing.
My pepperoni tit, cough cough TikTok boots, is literally out right now.
There's two things. First of all, I did not know you were running TikTok boots, and that's fantastic.
Thank you.
Second of all, I'm looking her in the eyes because she's got a man, and
Okay, for the record, for those who are trying to send feet pics or hit on me, I don't have a man anymore.
Well, yeah, that's fair. That was like a man for
Finger
a bit.
guns, send them.
Yeah, so the point being, though, is if you schedule your travel a few months out, you can pay for the ticket now and then save up some money for the hotel and for the peasants to insult and the falcons.
Look,
Yeah.
Google Flights has an option where you can pick the flight you want.
That's what I've been using.
Yeah, you pick the flight you want, and it'll say track updates, and it'll send you emails when it gets cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Right?
like I'm taking my my lady to Paris next month, and our round trip tickets were like $300 each.
Like, what the fuck? Where are all the men like this at?
He's right here.
Yeah, I'm
I
right
know,
here.
he's
Clearly.
right there.
Yeah.
Because you're how old?
24.
No,
Right.
see, like
You're
she-
24.
she-
You're dating people your age. That's the problem.
No, this is the problem. The last guy I was dating was almost 29 years old. It's the older ones that are fucking immature. And I love older men. I love them. If you're 50 years old, hit me the fuck up.
If you're in your 20s, you don't know
up.
fuck all about anything.
Well, see, here's the thing, though, is I
Excuse
remember.
me. I have been arrested, served the entire enlistment, divorced, married, not in that particular order.
And how
I
many
have
of
lived
those?
a full life.
And how many of those things would you have not done?
Literally all of them.
Right. So here's my thing. So Daniel and I are taking a trip potentially
That's me.
to Kenya at the end of the year. And granted, there are some security issues we have to talk about, and there's some
Mostly
Yeah.
with
things.
Dan and fucking two women at the same time. The cops go on.
But here,
That wasn't in Kenya. That was Florida, and it is extremely depressing whenever
Wah, 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 wah.
like somebody Googles my name to like look me up for like a speaking
That is the
event.
first thing
It's
that
the
comes up.
First fucking thing that pops
Not
up.
you almost dying the other day, by the way, which was fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
But that you fucked two women to get out of a ticket. It's beautiful.
Yeah, and there's an episode called Two Cops, One Dan that you can go back. I think that was season 2.
Did you talk about you going to New York and going to that pilot and then treating you like shit because they're a bunch of goddamn pieces of crap?
Yeah, I talked about that on one episode.
But he was literally in between two cops.
He really was.
He was. I was active duty at the time. I was a mall cop.
Yeah, so but yeah, so we're thinking about going there, and so like I know some of the listeners probably may have tuned out or gotten jaded because like yeah, if you have responsibilities like kids or work, like you can't always take days off. You can't. But see, here's the thing: is like we were talking about earlier. If you have something that that is a priority to you, whether that be a relationship or travel, you have to make the time for it. And granted, not every day you can just drop everything and do everything, but you can look at your calendar and be like, okay, it may not be now, it may not be today, next week, next month, whatever the case is, But at some point in time, you can do that, make the time, block something out, save the leave days, save the vacation days, whatever the case is, and then communicate that with either the people you want to travel with, the people you want to go on a date with. Like, for example, if I know that my girl is going to be out in the field, I'm not going to stress that much because she said, hey, I'm out in the field, I'm not going to be able to reply to my phone. Or I'm studying for a final, so I'm going to be a little bit preoccupied. I say, hey, that's good because you let me know. If I'm sitting there wondering what's up, and then the same thing with travel, like all these people are like, oh man, like I totally would have went with you. I posted this like 4 months ago.
And you know what? And you know what I said to you a couple months ago? What did I say, Daniel?
That I had great hair.
Definitely not. I wouldn't lie to you like that. But I said, hey, let's go to Shenandoah together. Ooh. Have I heard anything about us going to Shenandoah together as like a couple date thing? No, probably because I go through hoes like fucking.
Didn't we talk about this just recently? River. We talked about this before we filmed. Shenandoah, you want to go to Shenandoah? Let's go.
You know what I want to do? I just literally want to go anywhere that's not fucking Virginia right now.
You know Shenandoah's in Virginia, right?
I do, and I'm speaking like.
Women, am I right?
Shut the fuck up.
Let me tell you. Here's the problem, right? You're thinking Virginia, but what you're thinking is Virginia Beach or wherever you've been in Virginia. Virginia has a lot of beautiful things. What we have not done yet, and we've been talking about this for years, and I've been unavailable for the project, is going to Mount Roger, which is the highest point in Virginia.
Yes.
Right, and Weathertop is right next to it, which has the same name as the place from Lord of the Rings. You can't camp at the summit, but we can go to the summit. We can sit up there and we can have whiskey and we can come back to the campsite. Let's absolutely do it. Here's the thing, right? So we're going to go to Kenya. I told my boss, I said, look, hey, just so you know, around whatever time frame, I want to go to Kenya with my buddy, and we're going with this guy.
And I can assure you, we will not be shooting any exotic life.
Yeah, my
we're
one
not
question.
A dentist from Wisconsin.
My one question was, we're not shooting anything we shouldn't be, right? And he goes, no. And I said, okay, then I can go. And so I brought it to my boss. I said, look, this guy that we do business with, and he's a friend of ours, wants to go to Kenya, and he wants us to go with him. And he said, is this like an executive protection thing because it's like moonlighting? And I was like, no, he just wants us to go with him because we're cool guys. And he was like,
because it's a fucking experience,
right? And he said, okay. And it's enough in advance that we have time to like save a little money and like put some stuff aside, buy the tickets now, all that stuff.
So if Skyscanner, Google Flights, all that.
Right. You don't have to go to look, if your life is difficult and you've got a lot of business and you've got kids and you've got a wife and you got stuff to do, I understand it's difficult, but just plan in advance. If you plan a year out, you're telling me in a year you can't make enough leave time to leave for like a couple of days?
Yeah, and if you're honestly like just that overwhelmed with it, you're like, there's so much, like, you could pay a couple bucks and go talk to a travel agent. Like maybe they have a special because they pay
you
for
don't,
like.
You don't have to use a travel agent. It's
you don't have to.
2020. Go on fucking Expedia.
But see, the thing is though, is I use a travel agent.
Because you're fucking bougie. But go on.
But no. But see, here's the thing: is the travel agent gets me traveler's insurance. So that way, if I fucking like roll my ankle or like get fucked up, like they're gonna pay for my hospital bill. Because I knew this dude that him and his wife were biking in Asia, and he took a hard turn and fucking crashed the bike, and he shattered his ankle.
Ugh.
And he had traveler's insurance, and when the bill came for over $200,000, the travel insurance covered it. So spending $50 that way is a good way to protect your trip.
Okay, I agree with you.
Look,
no
Lindsay,
arguments there.
Let's throw this out there. Right,
because we needed insurance for Russia, right? Like they wouldn't even let us in the country without it.
Yeah, for Russia, you have
Russia.
Look, you say that Russia was beautiful. They were very nice to us the whole time.
I'm not arguing.
The only time they were not 100% aboard was like one time we went to this restaurant. It was like a basement, and I ordered the Rasputin, and the waitress goes, no.
Oh.
And I said, okay. Like most American waitresses would have been like, we don't have it on tap right now. That's not available.
Yeah, we're out of it.
We're out. She's just like, no.
Yeah, no alternatives. Hey, we don't have that, but you might also like this.
Right, but we went to one place called it was like Bread and Meat. That was the name.
Sounds like
you
my
come
kind of
here,
place.
you get bread, you get meat.
Right, and they had like this pop art thing. It was really cool. And we went in there. I was like, can I get the poutine? And she's like,
the poutine.
Oh, delicious. Absolutely
Poutine.
delicious.
and she was like, this is not named after a president. This is not a joke. And I said, no, I 100% know the difference between Putin and poutine. I'm ordering the poutine.
And then the special police kind of went back into the shadows. I was like, AJ.
And they were super cool. Like, they were really nice. Everybody in Rush was super nice to us.
Yeah.
The only thing they did was that like we applied for the visas, and we had to go to the consulate in D.C., and they gave us the visas, which were very professional. They had our pictures on them. They told us exactly when to show up.
No, I'm calling bullshit there because I will say perseverance is the key to just about anything, right? So we had to go back to the consulate like 3 times because the first time they were just like, you don't have appointments. I'm like, but I do. Here's the email. And they're like, niet. And then they kicked us out.
So they didn't kick us out. They kicked him out.
They kicked me out. And then when I did get my visa, that shit was photoshopped and like stretched. I was like, I know I've put on a few pounds, but my face doesn't look like a pumpkin. I was like, these motherfuckers photoshopped my picture
So
just to fuck with me.
A Russian visa is a sticker. It takes the whole page, right? It has your picture on it, and they fucked up his picture really bad. And the first time, I had scheduled both our appointments, and then we had mine when I got there. And this guy named Boris, I assume, was like, you need to come in now. Like, they're very, like, time-oriented. Like, get this shit done on time or not. And so they got the stuff done. It was cool. Once he got his visa, we went. It was a great time. Everybody was super cool to us. There is a little bit of racism, but their racism is like, instead of calling him a Mexican or whatever.
My God.
Look, he's Puerto Rican, but he does look slightly ethnic.
Yeah, Lindsay showed up and she's like, I got tequila because it's the drink of your people. And I was like,
It's National Margarita Day. That's like your
like Puerto Ricans
your
drink
bread and butter.
spiced rum, okay?
Look, it's my father's birthday, and it is National Margarita Day.
Yeah.
Happy
Those two things.
birthday.
Happy
Daddy.
birthday, Dad, if you're listening to me, which I know you're not because you're disappointed that I'm not an electrician or whatever.
Well, Lindsay says happy birthday, Daddy.
Ooh. So if you
Gross.
are Pfeffer Senior, get at your girl. Yo, how would you feel if Lindsay was your stepmom?
I would totally be someone's stepmom. I'd be so good at that.
My current stepmom very, very, very closely resembles Cruella DeVille. Like, let me tell you. No, this is great. You love this. Lindsay is
Why?
give me the face like, what? Okay, so my stepmother, and I won't say her name because whatever, but
We don't want to get sued.
right? So she wore fur coats until it was like too gauche, so like the end of the 90s. So when I met her, she had like the bob haircut, and it was
Ew.
like jet black, and she's
Oh no, baby girl, what is you doing?
What is
Right?
it doing?
so she's like vaguely ethnic. Really, she's Italian, but she's adopted. She's vaguely ethnic, but she looks kind of like she's got the jet black hair because she dyes it. And she's got like this kind of like model patchy kind of different.
So what does this have to do with Lindsay?
Well,
I
she said
feel like he's alluding to something.
she had the stepmom thing, and like
Yeah.
Lindsay would be a normal stepmom because
I would not be normal, but go on.
I'll tell you why you'd be normal because for the last like 2 years, all porn has gone to this whole stepmom craze.
Yeah, I'm not about that because like the title will be like step brother cheats with
Wait a
step sister
minute.
while step neighbor watches.
No, I could be a stepmom.
I'm sure you could, but I'm just saying like the
I'd be
idea
really good at that. I'd
that
be
like
"Kids,
everything
go
has
bed
to
at
be
8
like
o'clock."
stepmom or stepsister. Like, oh no, you're my stepmom. What are you doing?
What is that
Like,
Bill
I'd be
Burr
like,
said?
"Fuck
Yeah.
me,
You could
bitch."
just send kids to bed early on trumped up charges because you want to drink wine and watch The Price is Right.
That's literally what I do every night. But go on. Go on.
That's my point.
Yeah.
So my stepmom, she looked like Cruella DeVille,
Okay.
and like different ethnicities would see her and like try talking. Like I've watched people walk up to her and speak to her in Chinese, and Spanish and Portuguese and like 4 other languages. And my
You should
dad's
be concerned, but go on.
my dad's work friends used to say that my dad had jungle fever.
Oh man, I'm
Which
about
is-
to bring this
Wait,
monologue to a close.
Look,
What's going on here?
I'm just saying, like, that generation, my dad's like 60 something, right? He's 66
Stop! You're turning her on.
I am so turned on right
My-
now.
my dad's
Please come to
66.
daddy.
because he's exactly 30 years older than me. And
Wait, so he does electricity stuff? He's an electrician?
he is both a general contract and a master electrician.
So he
You
knows
say
how to work.
Master.
master.
So he knows how to work
Master.
electric butt plugs then.
I love butt plugs.
So here's
We're
the
getting
thing.
a little sauce, ladies and gentlemen.
My
We
dad is
apologize.
me. My dad is
so
exact.
drunk.
The reason my dad and I don't get along is because he's exactly me, but with like the straight mane of gray hair. And because of me, he started growing a beard.
Ooh.
He never had one.
Copied you.
He never had one. He never had a goatee his whole life. And then when I had a goatee when I first got out of the Marine Corps, he copied it. And then I stopped having a goatee because it looks like a guy who drives a van down by the river.
No, he had this like really hot fury look going for a while, where he like grew his hair really long and slicked it back and shaved the sides. And
I love. Let me just
it was
put on
hot.
the me put on the record for those who are gonna follow me after this podcast. I love long hair. I think that's so cool. Like, let me put my fingers through it and rip it out.
It has to be long enough for your lady to get like a fistful of it, you know? Like
yeah,
that's
definitely.
why I had the fury thing. Like I grew it super long on the top, and then I shaved the sides completely. Because girls, first of all, if you have my hair, like my hair is very curly, so like I have to shave the sides or it turns into this puffball. But the top, if it's long enough, will lay straight and flat. And so I grew. I had the Fury Brad Pitt haircut, and it worked very well for me at the time.
Yeah, I'm wearing my Warfighter scuba hat because Lindsay was like, "Your hair's frizzy," and I was like, "Oh no!"
Lindsay did not say that. Who said that?
No, AJ said that, and
AJ said
AJ
that.
said that. Then
then
Lindsay agreed.
Lindsay said that you were cranky today.
Oh yeah, because I had literally just woken up when you had showed up. Like I had a day.
Well, I didn't wake you up. I didn't know you had a day.
But see, I usually have rainbows shooting out of my ass, so me just being monotone
Yeah, that's
seems
not fucking
cranky.
true. No.
I woke him up, and I will tell you that. Speaking of rainbow shooting out of your ass, I learned at Quantico that the trick is if you sound like you're shooting rainbows out of your butthole 24 hours a day, then it makes the command like you more. And so I went to 3-4 after the fact.
Yeah.
I was just like shooting rainbows out of my beehole 24 hours a day, and people are like, "The fuck is wrong with you?"
Yeah, I got to 3-4, and I met the other squad leader and the platoon commander, and so I thought this was a solid stepbrother reference, and I was like, yeah. I walked up with, it was me and the other sergeant, we met the platoon commander, I was like, yeah, we're here to fuck shit up, but then neither of them had seen Step Brothers, and they just looked at me like an asshole, and I was like, I hate both of you so much.
That's annoying.
So much.
That's annoying.
Okay, so as we promised, we're going to announce the winner of the BattleArchives.com Iwo Jima battle map giveaway.
Oh, snap. We're waiting on this for like 2 episodes now.
Yeah. So we randomly selected a winner, and I don't even think Lindsay believed me when I told her this. The username is Asian Ewok 11.
You were
on Instagram.
legit.
100%. So if you are Asian Ewok 11, congratulations, you won the map.
Please follow me. I want to be your best friend.
Yeah, seriously.
Come on.
Maria is a Renaissance woman, and she is the winner of the map. So yeah, congratulations to her.
Yay, Maria.
You have like a week to reach out to us, and if you don't, then we'll pick someone else, because them the breaks, kid. You got to tune in. Okay, so before we bring this episode to a close, does anybody have any closing thoughts? Anything?
I'm super drunk.
I can tell. This
So-
episode went a little off the rails.
It
but
really did.
It
Where's
really
Mike?
did.
we need our RP.
We really need Mike to come back, and apparently he had a delivery
A couch
related incident.
emergency.
So
Yeah.
I will say that for those of you who won't see the video, because we tried again, but apparently we have some technical difficulties.
Yeah.
I wonder why.
Old Papa Bear had a 30-ounce bullshit thing full of it was like half Jameson Stout and half white
he
birch
drank
beer.
like a whole hydro flask of Jameson.
I drank a lot during this episode.
A lot
But-
during this episode.
Oh, yeah, Lindsay just picked up her bottle of vodka or tequila or whatever the hell it was. It was like
Tequila.
empty.
Okay. First
Oh,
of all, there's
wait.
like a quarter of it left.
There's one thing. Okay, so we really do have kind of a very improvisational feel here.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when Rick and Morty does interdimensional cable,
Yeah.
right? And it seems very improvisational. That's our whole shtick. But I will say that there was one thing we talked about earlier in the week, and it was when Mike was supposed to be here, and Dan said, "Hey, do you guys have stuff you want to talk about?" There's one thing I wanted to discuss.
Let's hear it.
So, Secretary Jim Mattis,
Oh, God.
when he was Secretary Jim Mattis, had put in force a task force whose purpose was to find out how to make the infantry better.
Okay, so the infantry was already perfect the way it was. And then these assholes came around and they're like, okay, we're going to delete a fire team and we're going to add a drone operator and a dude whose sole job is to check your Instagram for insensitive posts, and we're going to take away all the saws. And it was just like, what is you doing?
Erroneous.
Oh, baby girl.
That's almost exactly what happened.
Only on one point.
Yeah.
They hire civilians to check your Facebook.
Fucking A, man.
And your Instagram. I met a girl. So I was dating a girl back in 29 Palms back in the day.
Yes.
And
500 years ago. Go on.
That's sick burn.
which would have been vital 1 million years ago. How do you know I'm 1 million years old? Because you just said a huckster's crutch.
Because we just talked about your gray hairs.
Yes, solid Brooklyn Nine-Nine reference. I love that.
Thank
show.
you. That's what I was going for. Brooklyn
Okay,
Nine-Nine.
people.
Raw.
Okay, old people.
Anyway, so
you'll get there one day.
there was a girl.
No offense or anything, but men become more regal as they get old. So you enjoy your youth.
Yes,
okay?
I'll have my.
I will.
I'll have my salt and pepper, and like in 10 years, you'll be like, "Oh my God, I want you so hard," and I'll be married at the time, and then I'll be like, "You missed your opportunity."
Missed the opportunity.
Anyway, be that as it may. So there,
there it is.
there it is.
There he is.
So here's the thing, like I completely went off the rails with this, but okay. So there was a thing where there was a task force that Jim Mattis put into effect, and recently they came up with an answer, and they said, "Here's how we make the infantry better. Everyone in the infantry needs to be at least 25 or older."
Woof.
Woof.
Not a single ounce of cartilage to be found.
Well, if you've been infantry that whole time, no. But let's say you hire a bunch of people in the infantry that are all like college graduates, or at least they have life experience and they haven't been in the infantry. But they said 25 or older. They said you get $60,000 a year for your salary, which is and direct, not $65,000 total. Right, like if you're infantry now, you get $55,000 worth of benefits.
Yeah, like as a sergeant, when I did my, you can go on your Marine Online and look at your pay and compensation chart. So they include things like access to gym, your health care, the fucking all that stuff. And they're like, well, if you had to pay for all these things, like in the civilian world, you'd make about 51 grand. And I was like a 10-year sergeant then, so like 60 grand cash, hard money.
60 grand cash. That's what you get paid.
Yeah. Not
your benefits and whatever else.
Yeah. Okay. So, what is the in conclusion?
They also gave you a $250,000 bonus to be
insanity.
It's insanity. $250,000. Fuck it. God damn.
Okay, I'm just saying, if you're making $250,000 right now, hit me up.
Exactly. Like.
Wow. But see, here's the thing, right? We currently have somewhere between 25,000 to 30,000 infantry Marines. That's just Marines, right? And that's just infantry. That's almost how many casualties we took on the single island of Iwo Jima. So it's insanity to think that you could pay all these people, because if we enter a large-scale conflict, like, we're not going to be able to afford this.
Well, here's the thing.
Infantry is cannon fodder.
Let's say you pay everybody
designed to die.
Let's say you pay everybody $60,000 a year.
Yeah.
And you get a $60,000 bonus to become infantry, right? Like Marine Corps. I'm not going to try to talk about the Army because I don't know enough about the Army to really make a lot of deductive arguments.
Yeah.
But I will say everything in the Marine Corps is directed towards the infantry. So we used to play a game where you try to figure out what MOS, like you pick a MOS at random, and you say, how does this MOS influence the infantry? Right?
Yeah, I get that.
Right, because if you can make a lot of jokes about water dogs, but if you're infantry and you need to drink water, obviously the water dog's important to make sure you get fucking water, right? Right? So when you're infantry, you're the purpose of the Marine Corps. Everybody else is support.
Yeah, because, I mean, at the end of the day, the only, like, to my knowledge, 2 people have ever walked on water. So, like, I can't get to fucking Iwo Jima without the Navy taking me, or without the Coast Guard, shuttling back and forth, doing stuff like that. So I agree with what you're saying, because at the end of the day, whether it's this MOS or that MOS, like, we all support each other. Now, granted, the last 100 yards of any conflict will always belong to the infantry, but if you realistically look at it, like, a true infantryman loves combined arms. I love artillery. I love close air support. I love logistics. All those things just make me more lethal.
100%. Like,
yeah,
without your supply bubbles, you're not gonna have like the fancy knife and the good eye pro and then all the other bullshit that makes you look cool in pictures.
Yeah.
right? And you're not going to have like the combined arms guys. We had a guy, he was a medevac bird crew chief, and his name was Sergeant Orange, I think. And he looked like his whole life was reflected in his eyes. Like he looked sad all the time, but like
Sounds like I'd fuck him, but go on.
You would absolutely fuck him because he would deserve it.
I have low standards. Yes,
he would no, he was a good-looking guy, but
oh, thanks.
100%. Like you should fuck him because that guy looked like he'd been through some shit.
Hit me up, daddy.
Like
It'd be a lot louder than that.
Hit me up, daddy.
There you go.
Yeah, but we do have to bring this to an end. But so if you had to make like a final statement, what do you want our listeners to know?
Find a thing that will make you happy before you get out. Transition to that thing.
And so my advice would be, if you want to be this, that, or the other, find somebody who is already there or would be like a stepping stone to what your overall desire to be. And then maybe ask them how they got there, or look into like what steps they took. Because it's not always about what you know, it's about who you know. And you can not leverage a network that you're not a part of. So you got to get out there. You got to pass out business cards. You got to ask questions. You can't just sit on your couch and expect some, amazing, life-fulfilling job just to fall in your lap.
I agree with what you said. And I also say your plan that you have might not happen. So be okay with that. Be prepared for that. And just like go with it. You know what? Because either way, you're going to be happy. You want to know why? Because you did your time. You did your service. You did your part for your country.
Yep.
Embrace that. Move on from it. And let people know, like, hey, I did this. This is what puts me above everyone else. Fucking own it.
And much like a freshly shaven butthole, be flexible and be ready for anything.
Hell yeah, brother.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.